Hey guys, what's up? Nick here once again. This is my top 5 picks for games that you should get for the PlayStation Portable in 2018. So let's get right into it. Now you're probably wondering, why are you making a PSP video in 2018? Aren't they obsolete? Aren't they not being made anymore? I guess kind of to the first question, but yes, they're not being made anymore, but you can still buy them online, which is pretty awesome. But if you guys haven't seen my other video, which is actually my most viewed video on this channel, which is why I purchased a PSP in 2017, it's been about a year and a half since then, almost a year and a half I should say, and I wanted to let you guys know what I think personally my favorite 5 PSP games are, or at least the 5 that I play the most. Now I do own 10 plus games as of right now. I used to have a category of around 30 to 40 PSP games back in the day, but I ended up selling all of those and I just never really played a PlayStation Portable until 2017 when I decided to repurchase this, and then I made that video. So, as of right now, what are the top 5 games that I play the most? So here they are right here. I'm going to have gameplay and I'm going to do a smaller review for each one of these. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, these are not going to be really in any particular order. I'm not doing like five being the worst, 1 being the best. These are all amazing games in their own right. And I definitely have some honorable mentions that I'll add in the very end of the video to some other games that you might want to look at if you are looking at getting a PSP, or if you have one and you just haven't seen these games before. Now, number 1 is going to be Burnout Legends. This is one of my all-time favorite racing games in general. I've always loved the Burnout series. I love Burnout 3 Takedown. It's still one of my all-time favorite games. But for some reason, I think Burnout Legends did it one of the best ways, in a sense where it combined the first 3 games into one game. So it took what was best about Burnout 2, Burnout 1, and Burnout 3 and put it into a portable game. And I think that's the biggest thing to take away here, is this game is completely portable. It's not for a home system. So the fact that they were able to add the graphics, the gameplay, and just the overall fun racing experience onto a PlayStation Portable is honestly remarkable. Now, this game, it goes down in history as one of the best racing games in my opinion, for arcade racing games that is. So this is not a simulation racer by any means. It's completely hectic, it's supposed to be fun and crazy, and it's definitely all of that. Now, the graphics, even to today's standards, in my opinion, hold up pretty well. During very fast chase scenes, the frame rate does dip a little bit over time, and you'll notice a lot of blurring effects when you're going really fast, but honestly it adds to the experience, and the blur effects make it look like you're even going faster than really you are. And that was one of the biggest things I loved about this game, is the sense of speed. Because not a lot of games in the market, especially racing games that are portable, can really give you a big sense of speed like Burnout can. And so I really have to applaud them for that. So if you're looking just for a very fast, hectic, jump in, do a couple races, crash a couple people kind of game, Burnout is the way to go. Especially that they have all of the full crash modes, and they brought the cops and robbers mode in from the second game, and also the full story mode, essentially involving all of those game modes together, including regular races. So all in all, this is an excellent racing game for anybody who's looking just for a really good time on the PlayStation Portable. Next up is Twisted Metal Head On. Now this is, I think, the 5th or the 6th game in the series. There's so many of them I've kind of lost track. But this is one of my favorites, mainly because not only is it completely portable, and it's one of the only portable Twisted Metals that you can buy, but it's an excellent game all by itself. The graphics are amazing, the story is pretty good, and the gameplay is top-notch, and it also had multiplayer, which sadly isn't around anymore, but when it was top-notch and amazing. But the single player is still an amazing experience. I still highly recommend this game. Now, if you aren't used to the Twisted Metal series, let me fill you in real quick. Essentially, you pick one of many crazy characters, and they all have a special vehicle with their own style and own special weapon. Essentially, they are in arena-based sections where they fight each other to the death. There's no really racing involved, even though they are in cars, but you essentially have an open world or an open map, and you run around it, and you're kind of like Destruction Derby, but with missiles and lasers, which is pretty awesome. And the coolest thing about the story, essentially, is the reason these characters are in this contest is whoever kills everybody, or essentially survives to the very end, they get one wish that is granted to them by the amazing Calypso. So, and the cool thing about the stories is normally the wishes don't usually end up the way that they expected them to. So it's really funny, it's really cool, it's cartoony, but it's really just a good time all in all. And if you're a fan of the Twisted Metal series like I am, you're going to feel right at home with the gameplay. It's very fast, it's hectic, it looks pretty much, in my opinion, like a remaster of Twisted Metal 2. because you got that entire world tour kind of vibe going with it, and you got a lot of the returning characters from Twisted Metal 2, including Mr. Slam. But overall, I mean, gameplay wise, for a jump in, play a few rounds, jump out kind of game, especially for on the go, this is by far one of the best and one of the first games I go to every time I turn my PlayStation Portable on. So yes, Twisted Metal Head-On I highly recommend for any PlayStation Portable owner. Moving on to number 3, Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. Now, if you haven't heard of Grand Theft Auto, you've probably been living under a rock. I highly apologize, but really, you need to check this game out, or at least one of the Grand Theft Auto games out there on the market, because these are by far some of the best games ever made. And Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories is pretty much everything that was great about Grand Theft Auto 3, but they pretty much doubled the amount of content in the game, so which makes it double as good in my opinion. So this is the entire same exact Liberty City Stories that you can get on PlayStation 2, same graphics, same open world, same missions, same weapons, everything. It's a phenomenal game. It's an amazing storyline. It's super fun. Even if you beat the game, you can still come back to it and just mess around in this huge open world. And again, this is all on a PlayStation portable device, so it's remarkable that you can do all of this on the go. So highly recommend Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. By far one of the best open world games that you can get on the PlayStation Portable. And to this day, even though the graphics have kind of fallen under because of games that have been spoiled with, like Grand Theft Auto 5, the overall gameplay is still so amazing and the storyline is still so engaging that I still come back to this game from time to time. Number 4 is going to be MotorStorm Arctic Edge, which is one of my all-time favorite racers on the PlayStation Portable. Now again, I said that when it comes to arcade racers, I would choose Burnout Legends over any other game on the market for PlayStation Portable. But MotorStorm Arctic Edge has a special place in my heart, and I think it's mostly because of how realistic this game looks. So if you're looking for an arcade racer that also has realistic physics and graphics, this is the one for you. It's kind of like that perfect sweet spot between a simulation racer and a arcade racer. And the cool thing is you can choose a ton of different vehicles that aren't just regular sports cars. So you can even choose snowmobiles, which is ridiculous. Lunatics unite. This whole game is supposed to be ridiculous. But I think the biggest feat that this game covers is the graphics. It's by far one of the best looking games on the PlayStation Portable. In my opinion, to this day, it still honestly looks like a PS3 game, which is amazing. It's crazy. The graphics look really good, as I stated. The soundtrack is also really, really good. That's one of the things I always liked about any of the MotorStorm games, is the soundtrack has always been really good. The single player is kind of short if you just go through like the main storyline, and there really isn't a story to the game. But the replayability of the amazing tracks and all the different customizable cars is really more than worth it in my opinion. And again, it's a racing game, so it's really pick up and play, ready to go. You can do a race, jump in and jump out, super fast and easy. By far one of my favorite games to pick up and play on the PlayStation Portable. Just really, this is the best way to showcase the power and true potential of what the PSP could do, even back in 2009 when this was released. And number 5, this is flat out Head-On. I apologize for this big ass sticker that's on my front here. I couldn't get it off. I got it from a used game store a while back. But this is still one of my all-time favorite games that I come to all the time on my PlayStation Portable. Yes, this technically is a racing game, but the thing I love about this one is they have the ability to crash so hard that your driver flies out of the windshield. And also, the Destruction Derby mode is my favorite. So yes, there are races, but honestly, it's the weakest part of the game in my opinion. I don't ever go into races in this game. I love just jumping into Destruction Derby. You're in an arena with like 20 different cars. You just ram each other until you all fly out of your windshield and you're last standing. There's nothing more fun than just blowing up crazy looking cars. And the cool thing is, it's not just Destruction Derby cars. There's also sports cars, rally cars. There's so many different options in this game. And on top of that, they got a ton of extra modes that were added for this edition that are kind of added to the main single player. And the main single player is super long by itself, but they also added this whole separate mode called Chaos Mode, I believe it's called anyway. But there's so many different options in the game, so many mini games. Like there's bowling and like high jump where you shoot your driver as far as you can. It's ridiculous, it's crazy, it's fun. Highly recommend this game. If you've never played a flat out game, this is by far one of the best ones to jump into, just for the sheer content alone that you do get, because you get pretty much everything from Flat Out 1 and 2 combined into one game that's completely portable. Now I did say there were going to be some honorable mentions, so here they are. So I chose these 3 essentially just for, if these are games that you really haven't heard of before, I highly recommend checking them out. Hot Shots Golf Open T2, extremely fun, extremely addicting. Even if you're not a golf guy, I've honestly always been terrible at golf in real life. I hate golfing, But this game I still come back to because it's extremely fun. There's so much unlockable characters and items in the game to get just from playing the regular story mode, and it really gives you a sense of accomplishment whenever you get like a birdie or an eagle. It's really a fun and a very, very compelling and addicting game. Next would be Ape Escape on the Loose. I was always a huge fan of the original Ape Escape on PlayStation 1. Again, highly recommend this one on PSP. The graphics are amazing, the storyline is as fun as ever. There's so many new weapons to get in the game as well, and the level design is top notch. By far one of the best Ape Escape games you can get. And last, if you're looking for an extremely fun single-player experience, God of War Chains of Olympus is the one for you. Now, it is a linear storyline, so there's really no open world or anything like that, but it's extremely fun. Not really a jump in and play kind of game, but if you're willing to sit down for a few hours, go through a really compelling story with a ton of kick-ass gameplay, God of War Chains of Olympus is the game for you. Tons of blood and gore, looks exactly the same as the PS2, amazing graphics, great story, and it's an original story just for the PSP. So again, if you're a fan of God of War or not, I really recommend checking this one out. Alright, so that was my full video, guys. The top 5 games I think you guys should check out for PSP. If you liked the video, if you want to see more videos, I guess, relating to PSP, I'll definitely make more in the future if you guys seem to like these. But for what it is, please do like to show your support as always. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.